Hello everyone! My name is Chandria and welcome to my Flosstube channel, Chandria Carol Stitches. If you're new here, welcome. It's so great to have you, and if you're returning, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So, I have actually quite a bit of progress to show you, and I'm super excited. I have I've got 3 FFOs, 3 whips. I have some knitting to talk about. I have a pretty big knitting finish, and then what I'm going to go start next as far as knitting goes. And then depending on time, I may talk about a few more books and get through that book backlog of things I haven't talked about. So let's start with the FFOs. I'm so excited. I attended the Jingle Ball and I had 2 different classes. So if you were here for my last video, I showed my progress on those, and I am happy to report that I finished and FFO'd both of them. So the first one was a monster, and it's amazing. Look at this! So this is Festive Forest by the Blue Flower. It's stitched on 32 count Cyprus by Fiber on a Whim. It's I got the kit, so it's stitched with all the called for Cottage Garden threads, Roxy Floss Co., a couple weeks Cyworks, and some DMCs. So a big mix of things. And then I finished it as called for in the class. So let me just turn it all the way around for you, because each panel is different. I love it so much. And then the top. And the bottom is Cucumber Velveteen from Lady Dot Creates. It's filled with walnut shells, and then the top, just to make it poof a bit more, does have some polyfill. So it's pretty weighty. It actually would look really good and be really functional on a bookshelf, because it is heavy enough to keep some books from falling over. So yeah, so this was a lot. It was, let's see, I believe it was 11,568 stitches. So I finished the stitching during the Jingle Ball, but I ended up having to do the back stitch. So this is similar to a biscornu in some ways, where you sew using the back stitch. So I had to back stitch around each of these, like the top of like a greenhouse type situation, all the sidelines and all along the base, and then you use those to sew through to sew it all together. So I ended up having to do that, and I finished it on the Tuesday after Jingle Ball. I followed along with the class recording, but the class was really great. So Janine took, she had different portions. Like, she had stitched the outline and not the inside bits several different times, so that she could have it in different stages of completion to walk you through the steps better. And I thought that was really helpful, especially because this is kind of complicated. Okay, it wasn't that complicated once you got into it, but as a complete beginner, just looking from step 1 to step 10 was mind-blowing. But as she walked you through each of the steps, it wasn't really complicated, but it was quite a few steps. So, but yeah, it was so worth it. I'm also really glad that I got the kit, just because it was a lot of different materials, and I just didn't feel like trying to source all those myself, plus it was kind of a time crunch. Okay, it was a lot of a time crunch to get it done in time for the class. So really, really thrilled to have that done, and it looks so good. Okay, so number 2 is also a Jingle Ball class. This one is with the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. So I did their class last year as well, and that was Season's Greetings from the Fox family. Actually, I have this right over there, so let me go get that for you. Okay. So I believe I showed this in my last video too, but it's so cute. I'll show it again. So this is Season's Greetings from the Fox family. So their class last year was just a flat ornament situation finish. I actually keep this propped up on like a little stand. We learned how to put pom-pom trim on. Yeah. And then we got custom backing fabric in the kit as well. So last year it was like a flat ornament. This year it was a flat fold, so a self-standing finish. And this is Bryson Bentley Badger. It is a flat fold. Look at that. We again got custom backing fabric in the kit. The ribbon came, the velveteen, and it was a ton of chenille, sorry. It was a ton of this chenille trim. That's the color Musket, if you were interested. The fabric is 28 count. Picture this plus Crystal Valor. So it's their opal Valor colorway. This is all done in DMC. The only thing that I did not do is there was some back stitching in like white in these flowers, and I just didn't feel like it needed it. But the back stitching on this little guy's sweater vest, oh, it's precious. Like sewing on his little elbow patch, oh, so cute. And I love this because it does like stand by itself. Just so easy to display. I love this type of finishing. The class was really good on this one as well because so she started and walked through the entire process step by step. This is the type of class where you could finish it during the class. For the other one, the blue flower one, it would have been really hard. I would pause between steps. I mean, she tried to give you time if you were trying to keep up, but to be honest, I still had to pause, do what I was doing, maybe go back a couple times. So it was really great to watch that class record, like the recording for that, and not necessarily the live. I couldn't have kept up. But this one, you really could do the entire thing in the 2-hour class session, especially because they gave you the mat boards already cut to the sizes. If you got the kit, you had everything you needed, and yeah. So especially if you got the kit. If you didn't get the kit but you already came with all of that stuff cut and literally everything just like laying around you that you needed, I still think you could do it. And I mean, there were quite a few people who did get it done during and like we're showing photos in the group chat for the class that they had finished it at the end. So yeah. But yeah, Bryson Bentley Badger by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. So I finished those at and a little after the Jingle Ball. So after that, I was ready to work on some other things. I had almost exclusively, since my last video up until Jingle Ball, exclusively worked on those two projects. So I was ready for them to be done, especially because I tried to, like, the badger was so much smaller than the blue flower piece that I tried to like sprinkle it in. Like, I didn't just get that one finished and knocked out of the way and then exclusively work on the blue flower one, because I knew I would get so bored. So I only did like 100 stitches on that one here or there just to like break it up. I did that one at work sometimes, and then we'll work on the like during lunch, and then we'll work on Festive Forest in the evenings. So it was actually really nice to be working on two pieces, but still, monogamy or even like having two projects, oh, that's not for me. I like just to be able to go where the wind takes me. So after that, I was really excited to move on, get some other things, but I still had that finishing bug, really. So I found the next closest Christmas piece that I had to a finish, and I went ahead and finished and FFO'd that because, like I said, I already had all of my crafting crap out and strewn about, so why not? So this is Dear Santa by Satsuma Street. I got this as a kit. You can get these as PDFs if you don't want to stitch them on perforated paper, because all they are is DMC, and then there is a few beads and sequins, but you could really easy source those yourself or use what you had or replace them with stitches. So if you don't like perforated paper, honestly, there's no reason to get the kit. But getting the paper already cut to size, like, I love these as kits. They're really great for travel. The perforated paper is just so convenient for me where I travel like on planes a lot. I don't need a frame. I'm not like finagling things. I pull out this little thing and some, like, everything's in there. It's great. But yeah, if you're not going to stitch them on the perforated paper anyway, I would get the PDFs. But anyway, so yeah, Dear Santa, Satsuma Street. I got this as a kit, and I got it finished. The kit came with 3 different colors of sequins. The like opalescent color that is just this one sequin there in the cheek, a silver, and a gold. The seed beads were all the same color, but you could use, in the model, like the cover image, it had some gold and some silver in the wreath to, I guess, like, just, you know, variation. I exclusively used the silver, and there were plenty for me to do that, but I just prefer the color silver, and I really liked it to just all be the same. And I finished this last year, 2023, the meet and greet with, or maybe she just did like a free ornament finishing class. That was it. She did like Jody Rice of Satsuma Street did like a free ornament finishing class. And I got some really good tips and tricks from that, including getting this like sticky foam. It's already sticky. It's like got a sticker paper on the back, and for me, what's easiest is cutting out a sheet, like a piece of that foam stuff in around the same size as this, doing the, like, peeling that off, sticking this down, and then cutting around while it's already stuck. She does hers a little bit different, and I do think it's, I guess, a little cleaner, but it takes more time, and I'm lazy. But yeah. And that's really nice because you're not... I would like glue stuff on before I learned about the sticky foam stuff, and it would just like ooze through the non stitched holes. Like, I don't know, like I just feel like this is so much nicer. And whether it's acid free or not, I have no idea, but I don't really feel like this is a legacy piece, so I'm not too concerned. But yeah. And I loved the pink that I went with. Yeah. So after that, I guess the finishing kind of fizzled out, especially because I didn't have too many things that were already started and really close to a finish. And I didn't want to start anything. I have some more smalls that, you know, I could finish if I focused, but I don't know. I just went where the wind took me, and I ended up, oh no, I know what it was. Tara of Little Woman Crafts recently finished her To All a Good Night by Autumn Lane Stitchery, and that was what prompted me to pull out mine. So it is this pattern here, To All a Good Night by Autumn Lane Stitchery. The white in this is actually not stitched. It's done on white opalescent linen, so that shines through. So I even have this all nice and neatly folded. If I can find one, I will pop up a photo of where it was last time. And then here is where we are now. So I don't know if you can see any of that opal shimmer at all, but it is so shimmery in real life. And it's honestly pretty small. The piece of fabric I have for this is, I got this as a kit from the Black Needle Society. It was in their very first Nice List box. I did not get that box, but I got the kit from the vault afterwards. The needleminder I have on this is a Yeti from Rebel Stitcher Designs. And yeah, let me just fold this back because it's so much easier. Yeah. So I still need to outline the top up here, and that's all pretty much full coverage other than the white snowflakes. But I did get quite a bit done on this actually. I got Autumn Lane Stitchery. I sort of just like left it on my WhipGo board for whatever project I felt like working on that was an Autumn Lane Stitchery piece. So I pulled this one, and so I did actually meet my WhipGo goal of 1,000 stitches. I think I got a little bit more than 1,000. So this one is, I have 2,199 stitches out of, that's what's left, out of 5,166. So I am at 42.6%. And yeah, that top full coverage bit is is quite a bit, which it's blocky. So once you outline the, like where the negative space snowflakes are, I think it'll go pretty fast, and it'll be really good for just like back and forth distracted stitching. So yeah, that is that. These back. Try to stay a little organized around here. Okay. Next, I have 2 new starts. So both of these, okay, so one of these was completely on a whim, and the other was a gift that I had not really promised, but kind of implied, but then let them forget about it, so hopefully they didn't, if I didn't get around to it, or like, I didn't want any deadlines for it, so I don't know, I never mentioned it again to them after we talked about it. So let me talk about that one first. This is, and I will have to pop up like a mock-up photo of it. This is apparently hoagie or something like that from Pink Faun. It's something for their like 2-year-old niece. So, and I have a hanging thread. But I legitimately just took a photo I found online, ran it through like a pattern generator, cleaned it up so that it didn't have 50 colors and was huge, you know, like just made it a little bit easier to stitch. So this is entirely for personal use. This is a gift. Like we're making one of these, and that's too much, really. But here is where I am. I just have the glasses, the nose, and I'm starting on the body color. This is 18 count, easy count, easy guide, easy count. That's what it's called. And yeah, I'll probably just do this as my lunch stitch when I feel like it. It is what it is, you know, like I would like to get it done as a surprise for her, especially before the kid gets too old and grows out of this. But yeah, it's just an easy project. So the needleminder that I have in here is Oh Ginger Snap is the name of it. And yeah, it is a gingerbread man that has had a bite taken out of him. And I just left it on the card because I have it in a stitching case that was made for me by Jenny at the Quilt Junkie. So I have it in here with my needle threader and scissors. And then this is a hair too big to slide in the pocket, but I keep it like this, and it's all together, and I keep this in my backpack I take to work. So, perfect. Okay, and now let's talk about the On a Whim one. So, Natasha over at Birches Get Stitches had posted on her Instagram stories one day a post from Daily Magic Stitch that had 4 different snowflake ornaments, and so I'll pop up a photo of that. This is a free stitch along where essentially all you do is you comment on that post that you would like to participate, you message them, they'll reach out to you asking for your email, they'll send you the key for the pattern, and then you post a photo of your kit with the threads and your fabric. They'll send you the first half of the pattern. Once you post you've done that, they'll send you the other half of the pattern. So I mean, I guess it's, you know, just to make sure you're not going to take the pattern and run, but it's free, and I know that Tasha has finished hers, and I am working on the first half of mine, and I mean, I haven't had any issues. I do have like a kind of a throwaway email that if I'm signing up for something, I use that because It gets a lot of spam anyway. I'm not really concerned if that email gets sold. I don't use it for anything important, whatever. So if you happen to have an email like that, it can't hurt, but I haven't had any issues. They're really nice. And I think it's just because their channel is not that big. Well, their Instagram account is not that big, and they're just trying to get more awareness about their patterns. But here is where I am. So I chose the penguin one. As you can tell, I adore penguins. I thought this was much smaller than it was from the photo. The mock-up, the photo that they posted. But this is 18 count, fiberlicious. Let me tell you exactly. Memories in the Rain. So 18 count, fiberlicious yummy fibers, Ada, in the color Memories in the Rain. This needleminder is Adele the Penguin by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. That they released that when they released their Winter Waddle Land pattern, which is penguins ice skating. So she's got little ice skates on. And yeah, love penguins. So, like I said though, I thought this was going to be smaller, but turns out it is... Oh crap. I don't think I told you the stitch count on the gift, but that one also unfortunately turned out a little big. It's about 3,000 stitches. But it is on 18 count and it's very blocky. I think there's only 5 colors. I don't want to bother digging this out of Pattern Keeper, but I believe the first half, which is a little bit over half actually, for the way that they gave me mine, is like 1,500. So it's probably maybe 2,500 total, but it's only a few colors as well. Like the color for the beak and this dark navy I'm already done with, so there's literally only 2 shades left. There's the white, which is 3865, and then there's a really pale blue for some more snowflakes around once I get the white. So 4 colors, mostly white. I just think it's absolutely adorable. Now, did I need to start this? God, no. Did I have a lot of other things I probably should have worked on? Why, yes, but it's cute. It is what it is. So, yeah, that is going to be all my stitching, I do believe. Yes, that's all the stitching. I need some coffee. So let's talk about knitting. I'd previously been working on a shawl that I've shown a couple times, I believe. It was the Lost Woods shawl that I got as a kit from Forbidden Fiber Co. It was a mystery kit, so you didn't know the colors and you didn't know the pattern at all, so you didn't know if it was going to be a shawl, a cowl, or what have you. But this shawl turned out to be a really, really good kind of like a sampler shawl to me. Like, I learned a lot of different types of stitches, and there was even a mosaic colorwork section. There was a brioche section. So I really learned some good skills, and I'm really glad I did it. However, the colors were really not for me. The size also, I'm large, and that size of shawl is like, it's not really a shawl for me. It's too tiny, but it's a odd shape. It was a it was still like triangular. You did constant increases to make a triangular shape, and it was just not like what I would want to wear as a scarf. But I have a coworker who's like way more fashion forward. She wears stuff like that all the time, and she is also Spanish, so she has like a darker coloring, and the colors looked great on her. So I knew she would like it. I got like pretty close to the end, and then thought that, oh, I can have this done by Christmas. So I'd already like got myself like, yeah, I'm gonna give this to her for Christmas. I got this. And then it took way longer than I expected, because I got down to almost 200 stitches per row. So it took me like 15 minutes per row, especially like when I'm doing the color work. So it took way longer than I expected. I ended up not stitching as much because I knew that I needed to get this done before I went on vacation for Christmas. So but I did. It's already been gifted. That's why I'm not like holding it up, showing it to you. But I have a photo of the finished piece when I like laid it out, to try to block out a couple of the sections that were like tighter stitches and came inwards. I really didn't do a full block on this because it would not have time to dry. I finished it the afternoon before I had to gift it to her that following morning because that was the last day I was going to see her. So it worked. I think it looks fine. If her sister-in-law is a knitter, she really isn't. She can do like basic knits, but she was really impressed by my knitting skills, and I'm like, well, maybe your knitter sister is gonna have some other thoughts, but it was fine. It looked amazing on her. Of course, there were a few mistakes, but I don't think she's gonna notice if I didn't point them out. Yeah, it looked great. So I have a photo of it laid out. I have like a video of a little bit of a closer up on the different bands that you can see the different types of stitches, and I have a photo of her wearing it. I did cut out her face. Well, I mean, when I took it, I tried to not get her face, just, for her privacy, but yeah, it looks great on her. So when she first put it on, I wish I'd gotten a different photo of a different way that she wore it that I liked even better, but yeah, she loves it. I'm thrilled that it's going to a happy home because I unfortunately was just not going to wear it. Yeah. So this pattern, like I said, it's the Lost Woods shawl. It's by Justine, Chenel. Chanel, I don't know however you pronounce that, but I have looked on their website and their Ravelry, and I have not been able to find it, so I don't know if this was ever released. It's also not, as far as I'm aware, available on Forbidden Fiber Co. either, so I'm sorry. But maybe it'll get released in the future. So moving on to the next project, I immediately was like, okay, what are we gonna do next? I have another shawl pattern that I have my first ever fancy yarn for. This has camel hair in it, and I'm thrilled. But I'm still a little intimidated, and unfortunately the pattern that I had picked that out for and like bought the amount I needed for is another shawl. So I was like, maybe I don't want to do an immediate shawl again. So let's try something else. So the one I picked out, and I'm going to pop up a photo because my printout is not so great, is the Wrap Me Up sweater scarf from Knititude. They have some really cool patterns. I first saw their patterns like I first heard about their patterns from Stitches by Shelby, which I don't think she's posted a Flosstube in a while, but she is still active on Instagram, and she still has some amazing knits. So, but yeah, that's where I first heard about Knititude, and I believe Shelby even stitched this. If she didn't, maybe she did there's like like an eyelet sweater, and it's called, I have that pattern too. It's Even Easier Eyelet Sweater, I think. I don't know, but I actually do have the pattern and the yarn for that one as well, but we're going to start with this one because it seems a little easier. I'm still intimidated by sweaters. I was intimidated by socks, and we got over that. I do feel confident enough in my skills that I think I could do a sweater. I don't know, I'm just still a little scared, but definitely, like I said, I already have everything for that, so that is going to be a sooner rather than later project. So yeah, but I do want to clear out some of the other things I've got going first. So yeah, I haven't started this yet, but I do have the yarn for it. I'm going to do it in, this is True Boo by Lion Brand in the color Silver, and it is a bamboo, so it's rayon from bamboo, but it's really soft and squishy, and I think it'll have a nice drape for what I'm making it for. And of course it was also, like, I think I just got this at Michael's, so it was also very affordable, and I'm not a good enough knitter yet that I don't know, like, I'm still afraid of messing up, so I don't want to spend a bunch on yarn, but I'm excited. I can't wait. Like I said, I've got my first ever fancy yarn that is for that shawl, so we're getting there. We're getting there. So that's going to be my next large project, but I went through my knitting basket of shame and half-finished hopes and dreams and found a few other things. So I worked on this yesterday at a friend's house. I'll go and show it. My grandma does not have a dishwasher, and so she washes everything by hand, and she doesn't, I don't know why really, but she doesn't care for sponges. So she really likes homemade crocheted dishcloths that, you know, she can use to wash and then throw them in the washer and dryer, so they're 100% cotton. I can crochet, and I have crocheted her some basic, like, I think they were just single crochet dishcloths, but crocheting honestly hurts my hands and wrists more than knitting. So I found a pattern for knitted dishcloths. So this is what I'm doing. You can kind of see the pattern. So it is like garter ridge rows on the edges and the bottom and top, and then it's knit stitch in the middle to form like just a little, it's going to be a square. The original pattern, and I just have like a working copy type situation, it was from a Leisure Arts like pamphlet, and it's got like a chart, and it's supposed to have like, it's called Amish diamonds, and so you're supposed to have like a diamond in the middle, and I'm just like, no, like, this is a dishcloth, I don't need that. So this is fancy enough. Yeah, especially because, you know, she's gonna use them until they croak and then throw them away, which she'll get a lot of use out of it, but still, like, it didn't need to be too fancy. But yeah, And this was also a really good use of some of my straight needles that I don't use so much anymore because now I'm sort of a circular convert. But this was really simple because I don't have to think too much about it. It's really easy to see where you're at. Yeah, really, really good, easy project. When I told her I would make her these, I told her she needed to find the yarn for me just because I didn't have any 100% cotton, and that way she could pick out whatever she wanted. So she got me that one and this one, but it's the same brand. I think she just got these at the dollar store, but they're 100% cotton. Maybe she got them from Michael's or something, I don't know, but I know that she didn't pay much because she knew what they were going to be for, but just 100% cotton. Yeah, those are easy, and they've just been languishing in my knitting basket. So I also am still working on pair number 2 of my socks. So I had previously knitted a pair of socks again for my grandma. She got my first ever pair because I figured who else would love just a pile of mistakes as I learned how to do this. There we go. Just making sure I didn't I don't have stoppers on these, so I was making sure I didn't drop stitches. So the first pair that I made were full length, like mid-calf socks, and I think she'll really like those, but for me personally, I like shorter socks, so I ended up having quite a bit left over, so I still have this much left over. This is how much I have on this sock, so I did much shorter cuff, and let me turn it this way so you don't have my tail I haven't woven in. Cuff and body, leg, heel flap, heel turn, all the gusset decreases, and now we are just knitting in the round for the foot. So I'm probably half done with this sock. I really think I'm going to have plenty to finish it. And we are really holding our breaths to see if I can finish the match to this all out of one ball of yarn. So that's going to be essentially, I'm hoping, 2 pairs of socks out of this perfect pair yarn from Michael's, and I think it's the Loops and Threads, their brand. And it's just 100 gram skein too, so. But I didn't use whatever pattern that they gave, which looks like an intermediate pattern anyway, so definitely I didn't do that. I instead did Crazy Sock Ladies vanilla socks for 9-inch circulars. And I'm doing the exact same thing for this one. All I did was I modified the size for the cuff and the leg to make it a shorty. And honestly, I'm not too upset if I don't end up having enough to finish the 2 full sets, because for me it's practice. So, and figuring out how many rounds I need for the size that I want. So I think it'll still be worth it. And yeah, this is a really good travel project for me too. Everything fits, including my whole thing of stitch markers. All fits in this little thing, so it's good for travel too. Okay, I think I'm done with knitting. Let me get my thoughts in order, and we'll see if I'm going to talk about some books, but then I also may have a couple things to show us for what I have purchased and some plans. Alrighty, so I have just a couple things that I purchased that I'd like to show you. The first one is my last, and this is bittersweet, my last Fabric of the Month club from BeStitchMe. I have decided that I honestly have too much fabric. It is falling out of the cubby that I have it stashed in, so I need a break. But if you are in the market for a Fabric of the Month club, I do highly recommend BeStitchMe, as I was in it for about 3 years straight. And I don't recall ever having a repeat, so yeah, I love it. I was also in the alternating color and neutral, which extends the amount of time between repeats, but it also it just helps you build stash, and so that way when I want to start a pattern, it was really easy for me to just pull whatever I needed. But I have so much fabric right now, so this is the Fabric of the Month for December. This is the color A Little Sassy. I really like this because it is pretty unique. It's like brown and blue. Oop, sorry. Yep, so I did 32 count linen. And yeah, her modeling is just superb. And she's also so generous. If you were in her Facebook group, she does giveaways all the time. She's currently doing a 12 days of Christmas giveaways. Yeah, just great. But yeah, so don't expect to see Fabric of the Month in my video again, so it is what it is. I usually don't show purchases anyway, especially because a lot of what I buy is digital, and I'm just you'll see the pattern when I get around to stitching it, and if I don't show it then, well, you didn't need to know the amount of crap I buy then, so we're good. From Satsuma Street at the Jingle Ball, I did purchase 2 of the ornament kits. I rethought them so much, so I ended up only buying these at the end, like it was Sunday evening. So they didn't have the Yeti one that I really wanted from 2024. I'm not too concerned, I'll get it at some point, but they did still have this one, which was Winter Break. And then I got an older one that I didn't have, which is Mitten Kitten. So cute. That's it for purchases. Yeah, nice and easy. I do have a shout out. So when I was regrouping and getting my thoughts in order, I did recall that I wanted to give a shout out. I have been, so ever since October, I believe, I first started watching Adelaide Stitches during her 31 days of Halloween, where she managed to finish the entire Tiny Modernist Halloween calendar during the month of October. And she's currently doing 25 days of Christmas, where she's working on the Christmas calendar by Tiny Modernist as well. I believe the original goal was to finish that, but life happens, and I don't think that's going to happen for Christmas, but it's still been really good to follow her daily progress on both that project and the other projects that she gets up to, and it's just been so much fun. Yeah, I have really been enjoying her pep and optimism, and she films these first thing in the morning, and I don't know how she's so happy, but yeah. I also really like her projects. So she does some Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, she does a lot of Tiny Modernist. What are some of the other Christmas ones that she has been working on. She did some new starts. Oh, but yeah. Anyway, so like I really love her projects, and I just really love the vibe that she gives. So go check her out. And now I think I'm going to talk about some plans, which I think we're going to keep this really brief because, to be perfectly honest, I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't fully decided. I really want to do a New Year's Eve 12 by 12 again, but we are going to make modifications to make that more doable in my life. I do have to work New Year's Eve. I do get to work from home that day, but I do have meetings and actual work. I still plan on getting some stitching done. I can stitch while in these meetings, but I know that there's absolutely no way I could get 12 hours. I don't think I did last year either, and so I modified it to do pretty much as I could and then finish it up on New Year's Day. That worked out really well. There was a lot less pressure. I feel like I was able to still get, I would set a timer and do an hour of stitching on the project instead of doing like 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. or something like that, because maybe, whatever breaks I needed to do, I could do that, but still get the hour per project that I wanted to do for the 12 by 12. If you are unfamiliar and everything I'm saying sounds like gibberish, New Year's Eve 12 by 12 is, I believe it was Pam of Just Keep Stitching and someone else that I'm honestly not sure who. But the main idea is to start stitching at noon on New Year's Eve, stitch on a different project for the 12 hours leading up to New Year's, and then you would have your New Year's new start at midnight. So people have done different spins on this. I know Elizabeth of Frizzy Lizzy Stitches does, for the past couple years, has done like a one focus project for those 12 hours. She also takes breaks as needed, but essentially for her though, that just means that she's only getting 45 minutes out of every hour, and so she's still trying to stick to the time frame. But yeah, do with this information what you will, and however that it suits you. At the end of the day, it's all about just getting stitches into your projects. So however that you want to take the idea and make it work for you, I call it a win. So last year was the first year that I did it. I think time blurs together, but I think last year was my first year doing it. And like I said, there's no way I can do it all in one day. It's just not gonna happen. But my idea for this year is to take the projects that I either started or worked on last year that are not done, and work on those. And if there were any that I did finish, then I could have a new start, because I've got plenty of Christmas new starts I would like to go ahead and get going. For me, I have to be in the mood to start a new project. Getting the first stitch in a project is honestly a little difficult for me. I know some people just love that first stitch feeling, but for me, it's kind of stressful. I have had 2 projects that I can think of off the top of my head that I have started in the wrong orientation before. So making sure that I'm getting that first stitch in the right spot and not just ruining it, I guess, is a little stressful for me. So yeah, having that first stitch in, or even just like 100 stitches so that I know where I'm at and working what I'm working with, it's so much easier to come back to that project, pick it up, and keep going. So I really am not in the mood to start like 12 new projects. I don't really care about my WIP number because for me, you can't finish what you don't start. And I have a lot of projects that, I mean, like, I have so many patterns, so many kits that I love and really want to do. So I can't finish them if I don't start them. So why not start them? If it takes me 5 years to do a small, that's unfortunate, but it's better than literally never stitching that pattern. So I don't care so much about that, but I do have some of those unfortunate small starts still lingering that I would like to get some work on. And I keep like looking over at my basket of whips that are just falling. So yeah, I definitely think I want to go that route this year of not new starts, do maybe a couple of some of the things that I've already got kitted, but for the most part work on maybe they didn't even get touched all year, so like since last 12 by 12. So that's the plan. But I'm not gonna like put out a separate video. I'm not gonna show those projects because I will show those if it ends up happening. If something gets in the way and I don't get around to doing it, it is what it is. So we'll find out next time. So yeah, those are my plans. The last thing that I want to talk about is some books. So if you are not interested in that, I will let you go. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend some time with me and listen to what I've been getting into. And I really hope that you have a wonderful holiday season, whatever you celebrate. And if you celebrate nothing at all, I just hope you have a happy time of year and good days and good vibes ahead. So, books. I have like a whole list that I keep adding to and not talking about enough of them. So we're just going to talk about just a few, but try to get down this list. So I want to talk about first 2 different book club books that I read for the Books with the Black Needle Society, Books with BNS. This is a Facebook group. It is separate from the Black Needle Society Facebook group. You do not have to be a subscriber. You don't have to have ever bought a box from them to be able to participate. However, if you want your votes for which book to read next to count, you have to have attended one of the last 2 book club meetings. These are held every other month, so you have plenty of time to read the book. It is kind of a problem that the books that they choose have to be published within, I believe, the past year. So sometimes if you are attempting to check these out via Libby, the wait lines, like the time frame to get them, can be really long. But it's still really fun. There's a good variety of books. Usually I only participate if the book sounds like something that I'd be interested in, just because there are so many books I want to read. If I know for a fact the book's not up my alley, I'm just not gonna bother. So yeah, if one doesn't appeal to you and another one does, you can always hop in. So yeah, but so the last 2 books that I've read for Books with BNS, the oldest one was The Familiar by Lee Bardugo. If that name sounds familiar, I do believe that author has published like, what is it, like 6 of Crows? This was the first book I'd ever read by them, but I had recognized the name because they are a more, I believe, like a YA fantasy author. So I definitely heard the name. This book, though, is more of a historical fantasy. From what I gathered during the book club meeting, it was unlike the other types of books that... Oh, Shadow and Bone. I think they wrote Shadow and Bone. So if you're familiar with that, this is that author. But seems to be this was not like those. This was set in Spain during the Spanish Inquisition. The main character is a scullery maid in a previously well-to-do but fallen on kind of hard times noble house, and she has some small miracle magic. So she can turn one egg to 6 or something like that, like small useful magic. Her noble woman mistress finds out and wants to exploit it. Shenanigans ensue. I don't want to ruin anything. I gave this book 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. The ending, I believe, was kind of a letdown, to be perfectly honest. It was just a very kind of slow-paced book, and then you get to the end, and everything else has been really slow, and build up lots of information, and then the ending was bam, bam, bam. Here you go type situation. So I really wish that there was more to the ending. I liked the ending. I liked the premise of the ending. I just wanted more from it based on the writing in the rest of the book being slower. You're giving me a slow burn build up. At least give me some more information on your ending. But I did really enjoy it. It was an interesting premise. I learned a lot more than I had any idea about during the Inquisition. Of course, this was historical fantasy, so it was based on real historical events, but she actually has magic, and the others, some of the others in the book do as well. So there's definitely that fantasy aspect that doesn't exist in real life. But still, with the historical content, I did still learn some interesting things I did not know. The next book that I read was Wayward by Amelia Hart. The cover image for this book, by the way, is absolutely amazing. Just stunning. This is, I wouldn't really say historical fantasy, but I would say it's more of magical realism is probably a better term for me. So it follows 3 main characters who are all women in different time periods. One of them was in, what is it? I don't remember. You know what? Just let me look. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Wait, where do we go? Here we go. 1619. Yeah. So the most historical of the 3 is from 1619. Then you have 1942 and 2019, which I believe was the publication year or something like that. Close to modern day is what I'm getting at. Okay, this is published in 2023, so still, I guess it was being written in 2019. So the modern day character is the great niece of the next more historical one, and then both of them are descendants of the woman from 1619. So it's based on it's based on the premise that this family has a type of magical secret that is given to the women of this family. The book itself is essentially about the bad things that happen to these women. I gave this book 3 stars. It was really well written. It was really interesting. It was very uncomfortable at times because of the detail and emotion that the author was able to invoke in you. But it was pretty depressing. I also feel like the book should have had a lot, well, maybe not a lot, but definitely some trigger warnings that I did not encounter. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like, not much triggers me, so I'm not necessarily... If I see a page full of trigger warnings, I'm glancing at it and moving on because I'm not too concerned for myself. But I was uncomfortable. There is I wouldn't say graphic by any means, but like the emotional trauma of the character, the way that is described made me very uncomfortable. And yeah, definitely should have been a trigger warning for at least rape should have been a trigger warning. And I don't recall seeing that anywhere. Not on Goodreads, not in the book. I listened to the audiobook. There was nothing at the beginning that warned you of that. There's also again, like very graphical, emotional, I guess, graphic, not necessarily... I really don't know how to explain. But there is a miscarriage. There's unwanted pregnancy. There's a lot of very heavy topics. And like I said, a lot of bad things happen to these women. I believe at the end of the day, the story is really supposed to be hopeful and supposed to be sort of like you can't let them get you down. Like, you are powerful in your own right. You are you, and you are perfect. So I think the intended message of the book was really good. But for me, the fact that history kept repeating itself to this family of women was just so depressing. I don't know. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars because of the writing and how well it covered these emotional topics, but I don't think I really got the message the way that it was intended. I will say though that out of 256,000 and some odd ratings on Goodreads, the average is 4.07 stars out of 5. So I feel like I was probably the outlier. And also maybe this just sort of book is not for me, because I will totally admit that I'm reading for escapism, not for realism. So it could just be me as well, and that's still why I wanted to mention it, because it was superbly written. Those are just the problems that I had with it. Yeah, and I also really enjoyed the tie-ins. The stories start really diverged, and then they come together and you realize how everything relates, and that was superbly done. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, like I said, I would still be forewarned of the trigger warnings, but other than that, if it sounds like something you'd be interested in, give it a try. I think I'm going to go ahead and talk about two more. One sort of an older book, and one more people have probably heard of. So the next one I want to talk about is A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. So this is maybe a contemporary romance by way of fantasy. Yeah, maybe that's how I'd give it. It was really cute. It was a fun time. So if that's what you're into, it was definitely a fun time. The main character is a witch. She lives in this small town called Glimmer Falls. If I didn't mention it, this book is by Sarah Hawley, and this is part of a series. This is book one in a series, all about this town and the people in it. So it's like a town full of paranormal people, in like an alternate reality, where these people exist and are known to exist. So they're not hiding their true selves. And so anyway, she is a witch. She comes from a family of very powerful, well-known, especially like her mother is some big important founder of the town situation. Like, yeah, she comes from an important family, and they feel like she is the black sheep that's essentially pretty worthless, but she was born under this prophecy where she is supposed to be super powerful and all these things. And so they have really, really high expectations, is the long story short there, that she is not living up to their expectations. So this lady has a lot of emotional baggage, and I thought that aspect was really well done. Anyway, she accidentally summons a demon who can't leave until he gets her to agree to a deal to sell her soul in exchange for something. Because he was summoned by name, he can't leave, essentially. So, but she doesn't obviously want to sell her soul. It was an accident, and he is stuck following her around trying to get her to agree to a deal. Shenanigans ensue. It's really fun. As far as spice level and this sort of thing, I don't remember anything too crazy. I think there were spice, but it wasn't anything too wild or graphic or, yeah. But it was a fun time. It was enjoyable, quick, easy, fun. I did give this one 3 stars just because I felt like the family situation for this woman was incredibly overdone. Like, it just did not seem too realistic to me. Like, it was, there was a lot, as far as how they were treating her. And then, like I said, you've got this demon who's emotionally stunted, who knows he's practically this unfeeling lout, and then he's giving her he's like talking her down from her emotional baggage like a well-trained therapist. And it's just like, nah. Cute, great story, not in it for the realism. So suspend your disbeliefs and you will have fun. Okay, one more, and then I'll let you go. If you've stuck around, I appreciate it. So this is one that's, I believe the third book in this series just was released not too long ago, so I read the first one. Let me get back to it. This one was a while back. This is The Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I may not be pronouncing that last name properly, but I will have it spelled down below. This is a fantasy series based on, I believe, and I could be incorrect, but based on African cultural folklore. And that aspect was absolutely fantastic. So I did give this 3 stars, and I will discuss the problems with it, but I will also say out of 235,000 ratings on Goodreads, the average is 4.11 out of 5. So I'm definitely an outlier. There's a high chance you will like this. I'll just explain the premise and then what I did find that I wasn't too thrilled with. So the premise of this is that originally there were different clans of magic users with different gifts. So some could raise the dead, some were healers, some were like telepathic, different genres of gifts that these families or clans had that were passed down. And I'm heavily paraphrasing, but essentially the more normal, as in non-gifted people, eventually got tired of that, and one king pretty much in one night slaughtered all of them, and then their children, so all of the gifted ones were marked with like white hair, and they only got their gifts after they hit a certain age. So he killed off all of the adults, and then all of the children are now pretty much shunned, mistreated. When they are, like, they're fined for existing, so they have to pay like a tax to be who they are, and when they can't afford it, they're sold into slavery. Obviously, just, it's awful. The main character is one of these children who watched her mother die during that whole thing, and the story is about her trying to bring magic back. So she goes through like a whole quest with ups and downs, and okay, there's no ups. With a lot, every time something seems to be going well, another challenge is thrown at her. It's her brother, who is not one of the gifted ones, and then a princess, the daughter of the guy who murdered all of them. Because she found out her best friend was one of the gifted ones and he had her killed. She found out, and now she is trying to put things right. So she starts out very naive, but the character growth on her character is amazing. It's very believable too, like where she starts out so naive, but I feel like she grows and learns at a reasonable pace and I loved that. I also felt like the character growth of the main character was really well done. She goes from just being bitter and hateful at the way that, you know, her life is, understandably, but she also is just full of fear because and again, I thought that was just so raw and honest. Her, because of this treatment that of course like she despises, she's still terrified. And that just seems so honest to me because these are the people in power and they have the power to essentially do whatever they want to her. You're gonna be scared. So yeah, but she learns and becomes friends with the princess, who is, you know, they're working together to try to bring magic back and put an end to this. And that's also believable. Like, she starts out hating the princess just because of who she is, what she stands for, her privilege. The of course she's got the jealousy of her privilege that she's never had, but she learns to look past that and see the princess for who she wants to be and is growing into, and not just those things that she stood for. The only reason why I lowered my rating on this was for the third main viewpoint, which was the male, pretty much the antagonist. And so it's the brother of the princess and the son of the king, who, the bad guy. So the king is the real bad guy, but the prince for a lot of the book is also definitely the bad guy. But while you are in his viewpoints, so I listened to the audiobook of this and I really enjoyed that as well. Like, I thought the accents really helped make the story. Plus, of course, the pronunciations. I would butcher them in my head reading it, but hearing them, I don't know, like, I felt a lot more immersed because of listening to the story. But when I would get to his chapters on his viewpoint, I would seriously just like huff and roll my eyes because it was so repetitive. It was constantly like duty, family, like, I've got to do all of these things because that's my duty. And I don't feel like his character had the same level of growth that the other two main characters did. It was just so repetitive. And essentially at one point things start going right. You feel like, you know, this guy's finally learned something, and then a few more things happen and no, he goes right back to duty, and it's like, oh. So at the end of the day, I'm not continuing this series, but it also made me uncomfortable in a good way. Just the depictions of institutionalized racism, and that's the biggest one, but the various forms and insidious ways that comes across were they were so well done, so much so that of course, like, it makes you uncomfortable because that's what it's meant to. It's meant to make you realize this is awful. So of course, like, that right off the bat, I probably wasn't going to be thrilled with this book just because I'm not getting the escapism. I want the bad guy is some, like, I don't know, like some obviously evil guy, and then all of the, I don't know, like, I'm just so right off the bat, yeah, I may not have been thrilled, but then just when one of your three main characters irks me that much, I couldn't continue. But from what I've heard, the series itself, if you do continue, seems to be worth it. And like I said, I'm clearly an outlier here, since it does have such high ratings from so many people. But yeah, if that sounds like something you're into, again, go check it out. Yeah, I think that is where I'm going to end it. At least I got some of these books off my list to talk to you about. I really hope you enjoyed some of what I've talked about today, and if you did, I really hope you come back for next time to see what I've been into. I'll say it again, I just hope that wherever you are and whenever you are, you have a great day and get some stitching in, and I'll see you next time. Bye!